we
There
got
we
it.
go. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Welcome to a Monday.com mastermind training. You are welcome to go off video or stay on. If you stay on, I'll probably read your face and ask you questions. Friends, stay on. We'll do some, I'll do some screen sharing. Like you may have remembered from my last presentation, I don't do PowerPoints. They just don't work for me, my personality. I feed off of questions, so drop them in the comments, or if you are on video, just flag your hand. And the good news is I'll get to yours first. But what I am going to be sharing with you all today is a little mini training on Monday.com. Now, I didn't know what Monday.com was until about 4 years ago, and it seriously changed the workflow and organization of my business. Now, what happens when you change the workflow and organization of your business is you have more time and you don't lose information. And what happens when that happens? Well, you make more money. So the reason why I think that this really matters is that we are very clear in that we don't want to light money on fire. But if we don't have systems in place, we are often lighting information on fire, and we're often lighting time on fire. And for me, actually, time is more valuable to me than money. Time is my most valuable asset. And so if I can leverage a platform that is going to help me manage and protect my time, I'm going to learn it. I will tell you what I'm going to show you today is going to be a tiny percentage of the capabilities. And what I even do for Monday.com is probably only about 50% of the capabilities. Now, if you're not familiar with Monday.com, it's similar to ClickUp, Trello, Asana. So you could probably translate a lot of what I'm going to show you today to another platform. This is just the one that I can speak to the most. So if there's an area in which this would be most helpful for you, you can come off mute, you can give me a wave, you can drop it in chat. But what I plan to show you is how I use it for forms, which is collecting information, how I use it for workflow and priorities, how I use it for social media content batching, course creation, SOPs, systems organization, and lead management. There's literally not a thing that I don't think you can use it for. So with that, I'm just going to show you. Now, here's actually one other point that I want to make clear. Now, I like to, like I said, time is my, what did you say, Temu? Yes, you actually can use it to organize your girlfriends. You would manage it very similar to Temu when I show you the lead management board. These are your leads for a future wife, I would assume. So you would manage it, and I'll show you. You would do their name, and then the source would be where they found you from. So maybe a referral from a friend, maybe a cafe, maybe Tinder, maybe some other app. And that's actually going to show you the data of where most of your wife leads are coming from. And then call to action would be what got them to get on a call with you or go on a date with you. Maybe you used a certain joke. Maybe you did something else. I don't know. Then you would be able to track that to see not only where people are coming from that are the best leads for you, but what you are sharing that they like the most of, so that you now know, Temu, how you can be most efficient in collapsing time to finding the person you want to find. Right? It's the same thing. Thank you, Fran. It's the same exact thing, right? You can literally use this for anything. I use it to organize my podcasts. I use it to organize collaborations. It's not just leads, like people I would do collaborations with. I keep it all here. Think of it as the less you are going to different places to look for information, the more time you're saving. Like, how often are you like, oh my God, where is that? I'll literally like be at the airport and they'll need my TSA number or something, and I don't know it by heart. And I pull up my Monday.com app, I go to my travel board, and I look up my TSA number. Like, everything is in one spot. Probably not the best for cybersecurity, but whatever. I live a very trusting life, so that's what we're going with. So the other thing I wanted to say is that when you have a team, your team can actually be trained to manage the boards if you prefer like a platform like Slack. So for me, I actually prefer Slack. It's just a little bit easier for me to get in and out of quickly. So I will match channels to a Monday board. So Temu, for example, you could have in a Slack channel, potential wife. And then you could drop notes in the Slack channel, and your assistant could take all of those notes and update it in the Monday board. So you're just putting information in one spot. Even better, is, if possible, you could create an automation. So if somebody responds to something on Tinder or you go on a date, that there's an automation that gets sent to Slack, and then the team can then put it on Monday. So a more tangible example would be, let's say somebody opts into a lead magnet that I have. Well, what's a lead magnet? A lead magnet is a free download that can be on your website or in your Instagram. This is the very beginning of your sales funnel, is a lead magnet. So Tammy, you just presented on poker last week. Let's just say that this was something you're going to be coaching, which I know you've talked about. Your lead magnet could be 5 strategies to improve your poker game. And it's just a little ebook, short, quick sampler. And you can have an automation set up so that something gets triggered and it goes into Slack, specific Slack channel for a lead magnet. And then your team or assistant could then put that in a lead board. So there are ways in which you can optimize this even more, but I'm just going to show you the basics of Monday for now. Fran, any questions before I get in, or any things that would be most helpful for you to see?
No, well, one thing that came to mind as you were, starting with the intro of this is that I'm applying to jobs right now. I know I came into this a little bit on the tail end of what was being talked about regarding jobs, but I think that this is something that I can leverage while I'm building my business on the side, as well as applying to jobs, because I have all of my information about every job I've applied to, et cetera, like all the information around that job, the date, the type of job, salary, whatever. And it's all in an Excel spreadsheet. And also, as you know, I've used Monday when I worked with you. So, and also in my previous job, we used Monday as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I can leverage that to kind of organize all of that information into one place as well.
Awesome. So what I would say, Fran, is when I show the workflow board or the social media board, which you're going to like love, I know I've showed you part of it, but when I show the workflow board or the social media board, I would follow that same flow for jobs. So potential ones I'm looking at, ready to apply, applied. So it's moving in all of these things, right? Waiting for an interview or heard back, right? Disqualified, interviewed, waiting to hear, whatever it may be, so that you're creating your board so it flows through the interview process.
Okay. Super helpful, because I've only been thinking of it in terms of keeping a record of what's been applied to versus the way you just laid that out. That actually just kind of revolutionized the flow. So
yeah, so then this way, like when you're researching them, but you haven't applied yet, you're just putting them in a place like ideas.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, where do I apply to next? Instead of starting from scratch, you go back to those ideas and start there.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. Oh, Tammy lost power. All right. No, maybe he's back. I can't tell. Either way, we're diving in. So Monday.com, you can have a number of workspaces here. Now, with a free account, you get 3 boards. So not a lot, but start there. If you want to purchase an account, you can pay monthly or you can pay annually. I do have a code, so if you're planning to purchase, I will drop my code for you all. But I just get like a little something. Honestly, I never even asked for it. I just talk about them so much on social media that they gave me a code. I was like, thanks. So these are different workspaces. So if you have multiple companies or personal or whatever, so I have my main, which are basically, this is when I log in, this is what I see. It's my personal and it's my main ones for my work. And then I kind of have it by company. So I have a 90-day CEO one, which is a former company. I have Elevate and Lab, which are both current companies. So that's how you can organize a workspace. And then in the workspace, you're going to have basically folders and then boards. So all of these here are different boards, and then up top are different folders. So just to give you an example, this is workflow. These are like all the things that I get to do for me to be organized in my time. Now, I can put reoccurring things for team members here, but ultimately this is the workflow flow. Workflow flow. So if you're using a workflow board, this is really effective for a team because it's going to show where things are going. So backlog is going to be things that need to get done, but they're not assigned yet. So think of how many times we're like, oh my God, I have to do that. And then that can take us away from what we actually need to be doing in this moment. So rather than letting it distract us, we put it in the backlog, because now we know it's going to be taken care of. It will be remembered, but it's not going to distract us, because one of the number one ways that we light money on fire is going from like this to this to this to this, and we lose track of what we're supposed to be doing. So backlog is going to be, probably for most of you, your first one. I put reoccurring tasks up here for some of my team members. On deck means that it's been assigned. So every Monday for me, I have a meeting with myself or my business partner in the morning, and then I meet with the team and I look at everything in the backlog, and then I move what needs to be done this current week to on deck. And then when I meet with the team, I'm like, these are the things that need to be done this week. Now, if it's just you, you're doing it for just you. And when I started, it was for just me. It doesn't matter. Once somebody starts working on it, it goes to in progress. Once it needs review, it goes to in review. And once it's complete, it goes to complete. Now, you can organize these things in many different ways. So I'm currently in the process of transitioning from a business partnership Monday board to just, this used to only be my personal. So right now, this one's kind of like a little clunky. It's got both my personal and professional life going on. But, basically you have what you need to get done in there. And then you can have the type, like, what does this fall under? So for me, my assistant this week will be moving anything business related to a different workflow board. Things such as life organization and rental home will stay here, right? Like I've got to get plates on my ATV. Fred knows this. It's really not priority right now, right? I want to do my back deck, right? I'll put dates on all these. And then you can assign who it's assigned to. So like these are things that are going to this woman in my team, Kat. I'll assign another to Wanifer, whatever. So this is the workflow board and how it goes through. Now, one thing that I suggest if you're working with a team, and I don't know if we still have our Elevate board. Let's see. We do. Okay, so if you're working with a team, you're going to want to have done and complete in two different sections. And the reason that this is really important is because if I assign something to someone, their interpretation of it being complete in the way that I wanted might be different than the way that I intended. So it goes to done, and then we kind of review it or touch base on it together. And then from doing it together, then it goes to complete. So that may seem like a little thing. I remember when I first learned this process, I'm like, that seems like a waste. It's actually huge, because somebody in my team would be like, oh, I thought you wanted it like this. I'm like, no, I wanted it like that. Then they make those corrections, and then it goes to complete. Any questions on the workflow board? Okay, I'm just going to keep cruising, and then we'll go to any of your questions. So client experience is going to be basically what I do is I put all my clients in here. So I put, these are different offers that I have. And so clients in those will go within that. I keep alumni on these boards. You can keep them on different ones, but in client experience, for example, let's go back here. If we're actually, I think I have a teaching board. I do. So if I go to, this is an example. This is a teaching board. These are all fake people. So if I go to a client experience board, Timmy, this is kind of what I was talking to you about. I don't know if he's on here actually. Yeah, he is. But yours is more with the lead board. But these would be the clients, and you can divide them by level if it's one program. So in my former program, I had one program and 4 levels. So each client went to their particular level. Now, what I tracked here, which is really important, is where they came from. Well, why does this help? This helps me with profiling what's most effective in my sales funnel. Where are people actually hiring me? Where do they come from? And then call to action would be what made them actually take action. So this is going to be where they found me, and this is going to be what made them take action. Status here is really important for clients, particularly if you have a number of them and you have different people working with them. Progressing, needs attention, inconsistent. Payment, you can do paid in full, payment plan. I like to track the length of a lead. Now, it's interesting for me is my length of lead has really gone up as my investment has gone up. So low ticket offers are typically going to have a much shorter length of lead. They don't need as much time to decide if they're going to work with you. High ticket offers are going to need a longer length of lead. I would track start date, end date, contract, onboarding, and then you would put their information in here. I'd also add like birthday or something. Like those things make a huge difference in the client experience because now you create a process. Now you say to your team or your assistant, every Monday, I want you to check whose birthdays are coming up and make sure that we're dropping something in the group chat or we're dropping something in Slack or we're dropping something in Facebook to celebrate them. Those things help so much with client retention and referrals, and having a place like this to organize them will help with that. So that's a client experience board. Now, any questions on that one? The name, I know. So here's the funny part is I first started putting names of like actors or athletes or musicians, like Dermot Kennedy I'm obsessed with. Then as I was making more teaching boards, I couldn't think of names. So I went to Google and I did just a random name calculator. So the next board I'm going to show you is going to be a lead board. So Tamu, this is what I was talking about for you. For a lead board. Now, Fran, interestingly enough, you could possibly use something like this, a lead board for your jobs, but I personally like the workflow better that I was explaining. So these are going to be names that Google populated. Now, this is really important. If you're using the system, you want to make your lead board, then duplicate it. I'm going to show you how you do that. The reason that this is important is you want all the columns to match. So if I came to lead board, I can go to duplicate board here. Now I can't for the current, I'm not a workspace owner on this particular one, but typically I'd be able to hit duplicate board. This is going to duplicate this exact board, and then all of the columns will be the same. Why does that matter? Because the way I have it set up here is an automation. So if I were to change this status to boss, it would move this person off of the lead board and it would move them to my client board. So it would be, I don't know if it's set up here. Maybe not, but normally that would move it. Okay. So you can set up an automation. So what that's called is an automation. So this is the automation center. Automations are amazing. So if you come to the automation center, you can do when a status changes to blank, notify someone. When a status changes to blank, create an item. And like, you can basically do anything you want. You can do date reminders in here, right? When a date arrives, archive the item. When a date arrives, send a reminder, right? When a status changes, create an update. I know there's so much here and I don't want to be too overwhelming, but you can also, from these things, create integrations with other platforms. So meaning you can integrate with all of these platforms. So you can have when the status change, send a notification to the Slack channel, or when this happens, when this date comes, send something from MailChimp. Right? You can do it with Zoom. I mean, there are so many things and you can just search and find more, but there are two parts here. One is integrations. Integrations is going to be an integration with another system. Automations is going to be an automation within Monday, meaning I change a status, it moves it to another board. A date arrives, I get a Monday notification. So integrations and automations are two huge components of Monday.com. Those are for the pro features, I believe, Fran. Yeah. Yeah. I'd have to check. That's a great question. I can look on that too and let you know. Okay. So that's client board, lead board, and workflow board. Now, let me just show you the flow of a lead board. It kind of follows like a workflow board, right? You have potential clients, warm leads, you're talking about it, hot lead, they want to get on a call, they're interested, call scheduled, call complete, hot lead, call complete, cool lead. Now, other things I would recommend is having another board that's disqualified leads. So that would be they didn't show up for the call, or you got on a call and they just weren't a fit. It just helps to track everything, because the more data you have, the more you can profile what works and doesn't work for you. And it's going to help you with your messaging and your sales funnel strategy. So we've got all those boards. I think the next one I can show you. Well, I know that Tamu, you were interested in building courses, so I'll show that one, and then social media, and then kind of check in to see what questions you guys have, because I'd rather show you the boards that you want, because I have like over 100. Actually, I have 3 more I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm going to show you business playbook. I'm going to show you course building, and I'm going to show you social media. So this is how I built courses in here. First, I divide up the sections of a course. So this was one of my most robust courses. I don't know too many courses that are more robust than this. So it's intro section, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Now, these aren't phases of the build out. These are actually phases of the course. Then within that, what do we need? I divided this into pillars. What type of content? Is a video, PDF, Loom? And then what's the status? Now this course is done, so everything has been uploaded to course content. But if you have a team and they know once the completion status is done, then they're responsible for uploading a content, it's a great way of delegating and having other people uploading your course content. This probably saved me 50 hours. I did not upload one piece of content. I did not put any cover photos on my content. I literally just put the content in here, and my team put it all in Kartra or Kajabi. Now, if you have a course where there's different pillars, like mindset work and then something else, I like to add the pillar of what it is. This particular course was both mindset, fitness, and nutrition. So that's how we divided it. It's a great way to build out course content. And then if you have ideas, you could put them in a whole separate section. So if you're thinking of adding to a current course, you just put it in a section of potential ideas. Does that make sense, Fran? Okay. Super easy things. Like, this is just a great way. If you're ever in any of my programs, we send out text messages. Guess what? I'm not going in and sending them out. I write them. I say who it's going to, and then my team goes in and sends them. So in 10 minutes, I can have an entire month's worth of text messages done. And now my team knows to send it. I don't have to think about it for more than 10 minutes a month, and they're done. And what does that do? Huge client experience ad. They see the touch points. Oh yeah, I'm getting this message. I should get back into the Slack. I should get back into school. I should ask questions. One time we sent a message that said, reach out to 5 people who are interested in working with you today. No excuses. And one of my clients got a client from that. And then they take a screenshot and then they post it on social media. So what is having a system in place for it? It improves client experience. It improves marketing and results. And it saves my time. Because if I'm every week, like, what do I need to do for clients today? I'm going to be exhausted. So you can literally apply this to anything. If you manage a staff team, you can do this for a staff team, right? What are you celebrating for your staff team? What message are you sending to your staff team? Okay. So I'm going to show you playbook and social media now. Okay, so I'm going to show you this one. So this is a business playbook where basically as I create things, they go in here. So I don't ever have to do it twice. So if, I create a contract and I create that contract, I'm going to attach it in here. So the next time I'm onboarding a client, my team can just get the contract. Same with a non-disclosure. So basically the playbook is where you just store your documents. It's like a filing cabinet. You're also going to store your SOPs. Now, I don't have as many SOPs in here, to be honest, because I haven't used them in my personal business as much. But if you have a team, you're going to want SOPs. So what's an SOP? Standard operating procedure. So if it's like how to post on Instagram, log in, here are the login credentials. Go here, post this, put the caption here, tag these accounts, use these hashtags, like, and then engage for 10 minutes with other people's content, because that can be important. Simple SOP, but basically the business playbook should be created. And this is the whole point of a business playbook. If you disappeared, you end up in the hospital, or you go to Bali and you never come back, someone could literally open your business playbook and it has all the SOPs on how to run a staff meeting, how to run a coaching call, how to connect with a client, how to do outreach that your business could run without you. So this is where I house everything. And I'm going to show you how I actually use it for my personal life too, which is kind of fun. So this is like my personal, I have my podcast here. So I have like ready to contact, contacted, recorded, scheduled, recorded, posted. And this is like how we monitor all my podcasts, right? This is my personal playbook where like I'll have all of my financial stuff in here, accounts, passwords, course content, stuff with programs I've done, coaches I've done. I literally, Fran needed my door code. I literally looked it up on my Monday board because I don't remember my door code, right? So I have all my information on here. You might have different opinions on that. That's up to you. I feel good about it. It's fine. Questions on playbook, podcasts, any of that stuff?
Hey, I have a question. It seems like it's mostly a improved version of Excel, right? Like you have many tables, and every table has a lot of information, and the way you use it is mostly as an Excel on steroids, right?
It's a great question. I use it like a Jot form, a Google Drive. Oh, I just froze strangely. I use it as a Jot form. I'll be back in a second. My Zoom does this. Jot form, Google Drive, Excel, workflow manager, which you can't really do in Excel. Like you can't manage workflow in Excel. CRM, I wouldn't do in Excel. So it's kind of set up like Excel, but things like CRM and the social media one I'm about to show you, you actually wouldn't do in Excel because you can't move them into, you'd have to move them to like a different spreadsheet. So I think aesthetically it works like an Excel, but if we look at something like client experience, and I'm just trying to toggle back and forth here. If we look at, you know, a board like this, I hate when sorry. I mean, there are so many ways you can use it, but like if you were to, I think aesthetically it looks more like Excel than it actually functions. Because for example, like I couldn't just change necessarily statuses or move someone to a different group in Excel. So if this client wants to move, I can just go, Susie is now in level 3 and 4, and Susie and all of her information just goes to 3 and 4. If I want to move to a different board, like Tom Brady, I'm going to move to board alumni, like he's done. Now I can move him to alumni board, and now he's there. All of his information follows.
Interesting.
And those are capabilities you can't do in Excel or Google Docs.
Yes. I have another question. So I'm doing Notion to track. I started with tracking investment ideas, and like meeting summaries. Now, if I would like to move to Monday, do you think I should like migrate my data, my information, or does
Yep.
it make sense to just start writing new stuff on Notion instead, on Monday instead of Notion?
I would recommend migrating as much as you can.
Understand.
Yeah. So there are other capabilities, and I'm just showing you the beginnings, but I want to show you this, Nadav, in answer to your question. So if I were to go here, I could add in charts, calendars, all different types of views that I can see things and fill it in. It depends on like what level in which you want to do it. But let's just say I went to, trying to find a good example of one. Let's say I went to content creation and I wanted to add a calendar. Like I could also add like charts, right? It would depend on like what level you want to use it at. But honestly, we could do an hour a day for a month and still not cover everything that this thing does. But I will say it's because I started in Google Docs, I didn't understand, and I was tracking leads and clients, and it's so easy to lose information. Now, another capability that I think is really powerful are these notes sections. So here you can go back and forth. So now I'm in content creation, and I'll show you this whole flow in a second. But the notes capabilities for me is huge when you're working with a team. So we can go back and forth within one thread on changes and what we want and need. Again, you couldn't do that in an Excel, right? So it's kind of has Slack functionality as well within it. You know, like each item can have the Slack functionality. So this is how I use it for content creation. And honestly, I'm so excited about this. Like, I think this is going to become a big part of what I offer in my virtual assistant company because it's just so good. So this is back here where I keep resources and docs. So this is basically like, you know, screenshot folder. Like, you know, if my team needs screenshots of something, I'll put them in here. If I find audios I like, I put them here. Now there are sub item options here. Do you see all that? So Monday has a sub item option. So if you have one item, this is again different than a Google Doc or Excel. Under one item, you can just collapse it, but then open and you have sub items. So say you have something here that's like, I don't know, something on a piece of content you need to do, you can put all the sub items for it. But this is like content I've written. These are going to be like, this is going to be a link to all of my photos and videos. So basically, I give my team the resources they need here to make my content for me. Then these are where I dump my ideas. My team pays no attention to this. These like, it makes no sense typing. Like they don't know what that means. These are my ideas when I'm like in the middle of something and I'm like, oh my God, that would be a great piece of content. Then I go to my own live ideas. Again, this is just for me. Like if I'm going to do a live, these are like things that I think would be great topics to talk about. Right. And sometimes I'll put like notes in here for myself, right? So that I can see. Then we get to ideas that are ready. So these are ideas that are like ready for the team to begin to work on. So I'll put something in here, common mistakes of coaches or coaching clients. And then I'll just put a bunch of stuff in here. And then my team will basically take that when I assign it. Every Monday we assign. Now, from here, it gets to who's it's assigned to. So for me, it's either Britt or Alvin for the most part. So they're assigned to it, and then they begin working on it. Now we divide it into pillars. And the pillar is either going to be lifestyle, grief, business strategy, or possibility. Those are like my pillars. Everything that I post will be about one of those. And then what type of content it is. Here is where it's going to be repurposed. So is it also going to go on YouTube? Is it also going to go on Facebook? Is it also going to go on TikTok? Is it being used in an email? Now, you won't see email here too often because actually, mostly if I write content for emails, the email content becomes the shorter form content because email is my long form content. I don't know why my Zoom keeps freezing. It's really annoying. And then they'll link it. Now, the person who makes the reels, I don't pick the audios, but he picks the audios. Now, once it's complete and needs a caption, it will go here. And then complete with a caption will go here. So you can see we've got, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, all done, ready to go. A third person, her name is Joyce, comes in from here. These are the creators. They don't post. She comes in and then she posts. And then she moves it to posts. And then we'll look at analytics and all of that. Now, what's cool is you can also use this very easily for repurposing because all my content is just linked right in here. So if somebody wants to repurpose, something did really well, they can just come here and get the content. They can get the audio if they want. They could pick a different audio and they can repurpose it. And again, the notes are really powerful because you can go back and forth on what's needed for the team. So what we just went through was how I use this for team management, workflow, sales, leads, marketing, client, building courses, and you can do it for finance too. I want to be mindful of confidentiality, but let me see if I can find a board for that because then that's all 5 aspects of the business. But basically my team will monitor payment plans. So I can I don't know if I can. Basically, you can just imagine it. I don't have one set up that doesn't have client information on it, but basically it could just be payment plan, when the next payment date is. And now someone on your team is making sure it's paid and set. And if there are any issues, well, a payment didn't go through or it's late. Well, instead of me being on top of it, my team just sends the SOP. Okay. If a payment is late, here's the first step. You send this message directly to the client. Hey, payment didn't come through yet, or your card didn't go through. How can I support you with this? And then if we haven't heard back in 48 hours, you notify Melissa. And then, then the letter gets sent that's supposed to be sent. And then if you don't hear back in X amount of time, we have our attorney send a letter, whatever it is, right? So, that doesn't happen often, but you want to have a process in place, and then you create a place where all the information is. So you're not every day wondering, okay, what text message do I have to send to my clients? Who has to pay? Who doesn't have to pay? What's being posted? You're just creating all this shit so the team can use it and your business runs. So you can literally use this for anything. I feel like I just went in a lot. The last one I'll say is that I also use it for monthly KPIs. So at the end of the month, someone on my team will fill in what the KPIs are. It could be Instagram followers. It could be number of social media posts. It could be revenue. It could be cash collected. It could be client retention. It could be how much the credit card bill was for the company. Every month, pulling your bottom line numbers, whatever they are, and then Nadav, to your point on other capabilities, then I would use a chart integration. So you don't have to make a chart. You just go to a chart integration and Monday creates a chart for you that shows you your trends in a visual way immediately. I see Manu on here. I also use this for team directory. So much like you saw the client directory, if you have a team, you do the same thing for a team. Who's the team member? What's their information? Is their contract signed? What's their start date? What's their pay cadence? When's their birthday? And you do the same exact thing. So I just gave a shit ton of information, and I would love to open it up for any questions or ways that I can support you personally with how this might support you in whatever you're creating. Thank you. Thanks, friend.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. I asked a question on the chat. Do you have sub items for sub items, or is it just like one level of sub items?
One level of sub items.
Okay.
But I've actually never tried
Well,
sub
that's
items.
still yeah, highly functional. As a side note, I've used Monday.com a little. If it does work, then that's that could be useful. So I had a Monday.com
It looks
subscription
like you
for
might
quite some time, but I didn't. Then I started simplifying.
say that again, Teemu.
Yeah, I had a subscription for quite some time and I was using it quite a lot, but then I started simplifying my system, and right now I don't like need it, but this presentation is getting me excited again because it's you can build systems, and building systems for the sake of building the systems is nice. So
It's all systems. I mean, everything. Monday is just the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
I'm showing you guys the vehicle. But what it's the vehicle for are systems. And systems are everything, because without them, we lose information. We're spending way too much time managing people because they don't have a place to just get the information. We're forgetting about leads. We're forgetting about money owed. And we're working harder, not smarter, without systems. Systems are everything. You will stay in a hamster wheel without systems. You just will. I know, because I was in a hamster wheel for many years. So yeah, Tamu, thank you for pointing that out, because Monday's the vehicle, but it's the vehicle that I use for all the systems I've created.
Yep.
Okay, I'll jump in. Look, this is spectacular. It's also overwhelming.
I know.
Yeah, the question is sort of like getting started. And I know that with all of this stuff, you got to fake it till you make it, you know? And so you just sort of get started using things and then discover new functionalities, and then you're a lot better at it, and then you're watching some YouTube videos, and then you're really into it, you know?
Yeah.
Sadly, the one that I've done this for is Microsoft Word. So I mean, I think that I just need to dive right in. I think that get some sort of account and just start putting stuff in it, give my own minions access to it somehow, and say, this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna figure out how to use this thing and integrate it with everything. And because a big thing I have do is do my he does my online crap work. Okay, get me the name and LinkedIn profile of the in-house counsel of the top 100 companies in Nigeria. Okay, and so he goes and does that, and then I have all of that. But there are systems, there's follow through, and all of that is extremely difficult. The hardest part about this, in my experience, is the fact that the LinkedIn chat program is so buggy that you can't really type into it, and you don't understand how. I think you might understand, but and so I have a bajillion contacts. I just need to reach out to them. Nya understands English fine. Nya's written English is very odd. And so I want to give him like a script to get them and then get meetings with these people, you know? And I imagine that this would be a way to do that. I saw the workflow. It would be will be a real learning experience here, because I'm sure it will become quite intuitive, but it's going to take some doing, and yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, like, there's not, you know, for some people, like, I'll show you now, one of my business partnerships is like kind of dissolving. So this is a little bit of an outdated Slack, but what we would have our assistant do, because the person I was working with did not want to be in Monday personally, which was fine, but we used it to organize for the team. And so we would have our assistant just once a week put in, like, under operations, what needed to be done with like the date.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So having Slack organized in a way that matches your Monday is really powerful. So like you can see on Slack here, everything's a channel. It's like its own kind of thing. And some of them, like, so if somebody opts in or registers for a workshop, oh, I didn't show you that. I am going to show you guys that real quick after I finish with you, Ross. Guys, it'll take 2 minutes, but I think it's really valuable. Like if a workshop registration comes in, they would complete a form on Monday, but we'd get an automation here. But forms are a huge, relatively new, like just amazing thing for, let me get off of that. Hold on. Didn't mean to pull up payment plans. Let's see. For tracking information, you can use a form for clients. You can use it for an event. You can use it for like anything. Let's see. So I'm trying to just give me 1 second, guys. Is this it? Yes. Okay. So here's an example of a challenge that we ran, and registration was done through a Monday form. So if you need people to register for an event, a workshop, a challenge, you can create a Monday form. You can do a client feedback form. We've done client feedback on here. So you create a form. It looks just like a job form. You can customize it. You can put your logo on it. You can have any type of questions you want. It's just like a job form. And then your results come in a way that are just completely organized for you. And you can sort them. So if I wanted to search by a column, I can do that. Right? It's unbelievable for events. I only use Monday forms for events now to get information, but you could add on a chart view if you wanted and see your responses in a chart view. Again, the data will help. So Monday forms are one other thing, but Ross, in order to kind of answer your question, well, or your thoughts, rather, your reflections, I would say pick 2 boards at a time to begin to like practice. So let's start with workflow. Like I would look at what's the biggest time suck or time drain, and then create a system in place for that and build it around that, just one at a time. Because if you try to do them all at once, it will be completely overwhelming and you're shut down. Most people I work with, it's workflow, it's leads, and it's clients.
Workflow, leads, and clients. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's terrific. Yeah, I can work with that. The other ones can come later. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And just do like, I'm going to do 2 Monday boards a month or something. That's it. And you'll get more comfortable with it and the team will get trained to go to it. And it's not going to happen overnight, but I will tell you, it will change a business over time, whether you use this or a different platform, but the systems and the processes will change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your systems, let me just ask about that. What are they? Where are they? Where'd you get them? Did you get them from doing an MBA? Did you get like, how'd you learn systems? What are systems?
No, I mean, I'm minored in business, but I mean, honestly, I'd say from 10 years of entrepreneurship online.
Okay.
And I've been in I've invested probably over $300,000-$400,000 in different coaches, mentors, and business masterminds over the years and learned from some of the best. And I've taken all the things that they've taught and integrated it with my own experiences. I'd also say a lot came from supporting my clients. I mean, I've worked with over 1,500 clients now.
Yeah.
So the things that I found, like workflow, client tracking, lead tracking, and currently social media, everyone is just saving so much time from.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I personally think that business has changed so much that even if I had gotten an MBA at the time, it would like, I don't even know. It's just changed so much, you know?
Yeah, fair. Okay.
I think my psychology and teaching degrees helped me more than my business, to be honest, because people don't change and education doesn't really change.
Yeah. I get that. All
Yeah.
right, I will allow others to talk.
Yeah, thank you.
So I actually have a quick question, and I think maybe it's a little bit off topic, but somebody in this room might have an answer. Can you integrate automations in Excel? Because I have been able to skate by in my life without being proficient in Excel, and it's very robust, but at the same time, it's not very engaging. But I am wondering, is it possible to integrate automations in Excel? Because I don't think that you can. And I think that's like a huge component of Monday that's caught my eye. So I don't know if anybody knows that. It would just be like interesting to know.
I don't think so, if anyone knows. I mean, I'd say the biggest differences, Fran, are sub items, notes, like if you have a team. So if it's like a workflow thing, someone could ask a question or put a document. Like people can attach documents in the notes. Like you can't really do that, right? So that might not be relative, but sub items, the note section, the attachment of documents, and automations and forms. I know it looks a lot like Excel, but it doesn't function really like Excel.
I don't know if you can write code in Excel or do automations in Excel, but at least with Google Sheets, which is the equivalent of Excel, you can write code and do all kinds of automations. But the problem is that you must actually do it in code form. It's not like drag and drop kind of programming. But I did do a few stuff with automations in Google Sheets, which brings me to my question for you, Melissa. It seems like a lot of the stuff that your people are doing should be done by code, like sending text messages, in my eyes, should be done by some kind of API with code instead of by virtual assistants.
Well,
And
I think that's a decision. I mean, we send text messages from a platform called simpletexting.com, and they can all be done and scheduled in advance. I personally am not, and there's no right or wrong, but I personally am not huge in AI. When I have used AI for things, the number one thing I get from people is like, honest to God, the number one thing I get is like, I can feel your authenticity. I can feel your voice. And the best AI still hasn't been able to match it. And so like I want to tell my team what I want sent at this point in time. I might get to a level where I do that, but we don't manually send text messages, though you can send them directly from monday.com with a certain subscription. We use simpletexting.com, and you can also in simpletexting.com have different lists. So I'll have a client list and I'll also have a lead list. So my lead list will get marketing emails, event coming up, launch date. My client list will get client experience, client support messages. Does that make sense?
yes. I don't think that AI is what I'm talking about. Like if you are doing the same message to all of your clients and you was the one that made the message, like wrote it, I don't think it's AI to send it. It's just an API. Or just
I'm sorry, I
using
thought you said AI.
some kind of, oh yes, sorry.
Sorry.
Or using some kind of services you said. But cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. No, we don't manually send them. It's all through it's a mass blast through a service, and it's like an email, right? And then it's like, okay, this is going to go to this list. This is going to go to this list. And much like we keep our email tags a certain way. So an email will go to certain email tags, because I don't want to send my clients a marketing email. I don't want to send, I might want to do a targeted email to alumni, right? We do that with text messages too. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Ani, what other questions? How can I support you? My Zoom keeps freezing.
Hey, Melissa. Thank you for sharing this vast amount of knowledge again. And putting Ross into a whirlwind.
Ross is always in a whirlwind. No, I'm just kidding, Ross.
Oh, no, you're right. No, he's in a British whirlwind. Welcome to Europe. Anyhow, two things. One of them is the platform HIPAA compliant.
That I do not know how it would work with HIPAA, though I know that there are both medical and schools that use it. So, what would you need to, with HIPAA, because I'm familiar with HIPAA. Fran, you probably know a lot about this too with HR. What would you need it to make it HIPAA compliant?
Well, you have to stay within the HIPAA regulation. So any information, let's say if I would send out just a simple last example, a text blast to patients or something else, I cannot do that unless it is a safe, secure, and HIPAA compliant platform.
There's sorry,
Go, Fran.
I just remembered something. It was just emerging. I don't work in HR anymore. It's been a couple of years now, but there was an emerging AI type organizational software that people could use to send automated like compliance framework messages. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Yeah.
This is what came up at Google.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, that's really cool.
What is it?
In the chat.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I just found the one that I was thinking of. I don't know if this
great.
is but
Drop it. Yeah. Fran was in HR.
yeah, also that tag is like that link is super not SEO optimized.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. Very interesting.
But I don't know if that would be
interesting. No, it's very helpful. Thank you very much. The reason why I was asking is because one of the biggest challenges, we use different platforms, but it is very inconsistent if you try to incorporate that in a team setting that consists of different age brackets, different knowledge, technological knowledge, and everybody thinks that, you know, coming from a good place, you can do it better, and you can use different methods and methodology and systems to make it better. And ultimately, they're just, you know, a big chaotic, you know, event just emerges out of it.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest challenges that, of course, you have now in my position and where I am. I have the systems and I expect them to be followed. However, nothing is, you know, is chiseled into stone. There's always exceptions, especially interactions with humans, direct interactions with humans, human need, human fear. There's always, well, you have to still use a little bit of your common sense beside the system and the protocols that you have in order to remain efficient. And the biggest challenge that I encounter is, you know, this common sense line. Where do I rely on the system? Where do I, you know, act on my best assessment and knowledge? And where do I involve me? And in these cases, and I don't know how to fix that, everything that is not reproduced in the system is going to fall right back on my head, which suffocates me. So and it's maybe it is me that creates this whole havoc, or it's maybe the fear of making mistakes. I don't know. Maybe we all have our reasons on why we do certain things. It's I was looking for a system that everybody can follow in my team and my practices, and B, where it sounds like I have to kind of be the super captain on the ship and monitoring all of the operations, which I can't, purely because I'm in surgical operatories all day long, right?
Well, then, yeah, you need a COO.
So exactly, and the COO kind of you have to find the right CEO.
Yep, you got to find, I mean, you can also do virtual assistant support with integrator, which is more common. I mean, that's like what one of my companies does. It's like you have a virtual assistant who are executing a lot of it, but there's an integrator who is the go-between you and the virtual assistants. And you're basically meeting with the integrator, and then the integrator is delegating to the virtual assistants or supporting with the team. But I would definitely, I mean, you can't be, because there's, being in surgeries requires you to work in the business, right? You are delivering.
That's correct.
You can't work in and on the business effectively simultaneously.
That is the conflict in medical and surgical practices, that you are working in it. You have 5 roles that you play at the same time, all day long, and can become very confusing. Sorry, come here. Can become very confusing. Yeah, you want to see?
Ah.
Oh, hello, Kenji. Hello.
Hello.
So this is my little buddy Kenji. Yeah, I'm his godmom. So I've tried Slack in the past. People they slacked off. They didn't utilize Slack for communication. I've tried all of that, and then I just gave up. And
I think you need someone who can hold the line and make sure, like,
yeah.
I would just say, to me, Slack, I mean, I have clients in Slack who are anywhere from 20 to in their 70s.
Mhm.
And Slack is the easiest. So what I would recommend is that you have all communication in Slack, and then you have more of an integrator and virtual assistant type of support doing a lot of the Mondays, the integration in the back end, and whatever the team needs to know is just in Slack. They don't necessarily, I wouldn't have everybody in Monday. You also pay per seat in Monday.
Mhm.
So, that is something to consider. Like, I don't have everybody on my Monday. Some of them I'll share a login, which is fine, but yeah, I would, but I think for you, like, there's absolutely no reason, like, why a team member can't be in Slack. But I think you need to have KPIs. Like, I told one of my team members, like, I need every day an end of day report of what you've done. How many reach outs, how many this, how many that, like, but you need somebody who can consistently be on top of that.
That is the key. So I have exactly the same thing, a report, an update, a reflection of the day. Basically, you just need to have a lay of the land in order to be able to navigate the ship. I'm struggling with finding people who understand that is one of the priorities of the day, and an amazing talent, and finding people who have excuses. Excuses with respect to, I was so busy with this, I was doing this, and then you get a freaking task list, and I'm like, I really don't care about what you all did. I care about what you didn't do, and that was one of the things that were important. So
that's also where, Manu, though, I just want to support you with that. That's also where the workflow board with clear dates and priorities and deadlines is really important, because the staff are always going to do what's convenient for them to do.
All of that exists.
Yeah.
That is the problem. All of that exists, but in a clinic, in a practice, you're interrupted with emergencies, with unforeseen circumstances all day long. So you have to reprioritize all day long, where the key is I need to have a clone of me or somebody that can navigate like a air traffic controller. I need an air traffic controller. This remains on a priority list. This is there, this is there, this is there, because I cannot be that person. So I'm looking for somebody that could do that. I guess that's my conclusion after your feedbacks that you gave me.
I think that's what you need, like a COO, like a person who can get it and manage the team and priorities and workflow and tasks and be on top of them. And also
somebody
create
like that?
culture. What was
Can
that?
you find me somebody? Can you find me somebody like
Possibly.
that?
Yeah, I mean, possibly. That's the work. That's my VA support business is that. And there's integrator options as well. Like I have a friend here that I'm actually doing an event with in Miami, and she particularly does integrator work with medical companies and
What do you
doctors.
mean with integrator? I need somebody on site.
So an integrator is basically on the side. An integrator is basically the bridge between you and the team and you and workflow.
I understand.
So instead of you managing the team, they're the bridge between you and the team.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, yeah. It looks different for every business, but that's a big missing thing in hiring. People hire because they need stuff taken off their plate, but if they can't effectively manage and oversee it because their job demands elsewhere, you need an integrator or someone to oversee it.
Let's talk a bit more about it. Francesca, do you have any experience there?
Well, something that just came to mind for me is that a lot of, corporate companies will hire a Salesforce manager. And it sounds like this is kind of something that you might benefit from, not in terms of Salesforce, but just somebody who will track the board, reprioritize, as you said, maybe has a little bit of knowledge of what is priority and what isn't in the context of your business. But it does feel to me like you do need somebody who can be sitting there more or less in the same place as you, who can be like, hey, this person just called. Yes, exactly. OBM, like this is somebody that, needs to come in now. I'm not sure in the details of the nature of what you do, but that's what came to mind is like a lot of companies hire a Salesforce administrator. And it's a big task. So you could have somebody that's, managing a medical type software, which I know in the last year, maybe there have been more robust, medical softwares. My brother is a doctor, so I know the pain of like the admin work that comes with the medical field. And it is like, these softwares are so primitive still, and they're just coming out now with some of these more AI structured softwares, but it does sound like you still have a need for somebody who might be on site, because as you said, things come up all day, every day that have to restructure your day on the fly. And for you to have to go in and track all of that yourself is like ridiculous. Like it's impossible. And then you have to focus on, doing what you're doing. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what came to mind for me.
I don't want to pirate the entire time here, but I would like to continue this conversation on that more specifically. So I'm gonna reach out to you next, if okay, reach out to you guys next week, and maybe we can find some sort of a solution, because I just can't keep up.
No, I know. And we've talked about it before, and
it's so little that I cannot even keep up with staying in contact.
I know, I get it. And that will just continue. So
exactly. And that is my biggest fear. It's ridiculous. There must be a solution.
Me knew.
There must be a solution.
I'm gonna jump in and say, you have my sympathy. A law office is not exactly an emergency room, but it feels like it's quite a bit. And again, you're reshuffling your priorities and doing that over and over again. I have been at law firms so hideously chaotic, that I just don't know how any work gets done, and I never see any work getting done.
Nice to hear you.
The blurring thing is
Oh,
psychedelic.
it's blurry? I'm blurry? I didn't
You're
know I was
blurring your
blurry.
background, so sometimes,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, I see.
yeah. But it's, I mean, the greater effort you put into reducing the chaos, the better. And good on you for being like aware of this.
Well, it's not chaos. We have it very, very strictly organized. We have very, very strict protocols. We have very strict schedules. We have all of that. But when you are, and I'm a surgeon to answer your question, Francesca, when you have emergencies or patients' needs that jump in, your day will be reprioritized. Just like Melissa said, I like to have the personal touch or the personal voice there. This is the culture. This is what has come to be expected to some extent, that you, when you need somebody, and when you need somebody, when you're afraid, and when you're alone, when you're in pain, when you're bleeding, that you're there, right? So that is where you have to, you know, convey and communicate the culture, as well as manage the day, manage the doctor, manage the productivity. And I have, you know, it's not only me, there's another doctor as well. How do we get through with it, keeping our values and keeping our culture, and still not draining everybody on the team? And that is, it's impossible these days. Everybody's exhausted. That's just too much work. Too much work, too little forces, too little trained forces. And the salaries and compensations have gone through the roof in the United States. They literally have doubled in the last year. So it's a tough one to juggle.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
thank you for sharing, and
I would
hopefully
love,
this.
I share this because you are the super inventor, you know, businesswoman, super inventor, entrepreneur. Maybe you can come up with a solution with your brilliant mind, you know,
Yeah.
because that is a huge need. It is a huge need on the market. It is huge.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to talk and learn more about it, especially having an integrator and virtual assistant company now.
Yes.
You know, it'd be something worth chatting more about, you know, maybe next week or something.
Yeah, give me a
and
week
if you want to get clear
my...
on like what the needs would be, you know, I'd always be happy to talk about that for sure.
It's yeah, you know, it's the need is everywhere. If you do like a mini vacation in a clinics, you will pick up on so many things.
Yeah.
And you might even come up with, and it's a huge market if one really has solutions. I try to get Nadav to do something there too.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Huge. Everybody, every single doctor feels the same.
Yeah.
Or worse.
Well, let's definitely connect on it more. I mean, I'd say just from my time in the hospital with my daughter, like I saw the many inefficiencies. So I can only imagine if I was more behind the scenes. And yeah, so I'm happy to chat with you about it more. And hopefully today at least gave you some idea of like what is possible and what it could look like. Do you have any other questions specific to Monday before I check in with Luke and we wrap up?
Me? No.
No?
I think it's a great platform. I think the challenge in my area is to get the integration in a way. You need to have a captain that runs Monday and is on Monday all the time, like the integrator, in order to be able to advise me. This is how I see the role of a Monday or a Slack in my office.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
So Nadav, Ross, Francesca, Luke, any final questions?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This was great. Thank you, Melissa. I'm glad I got to join this one. I have so many notes.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone good? Everyone complete? All right. Thank you all so much. Thanks for letting me nerd out on Monday. I love it. I hope it served you all, and have an amazing Sunday. Bye.
Bye.